Shit. All right. 0, 30, 60, 90, 120, 150. Those lines that's in between each number are your 15 lines. So 0, 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90, 105, 120, 135, 150. That's how you read the gauge, okay, by 15s. Now, you see that little orange before it goes into the blue? That is your 5 gap. So that'll be 65. Now you apply that little gap to every line now that you know. Now if you're reading this gauge correctly, this is this gap where the needle is into the 90 line, this gap is a little bit wider than that gap. So this can't be 85. I would call that 83. You see what I'm saying? That's how you read it, fellas. And to get your 12 and 13 numbers, when it get to 120, the top end, start counting by ones backwards. 119, 118, 117, until the needle stop. Once it stops, that's how you get the 112, 113 numbers. Okay? Same thing when it's going up. Count by ones when it get to 120, 121, until it stops. That's how you get that 127, 126 numbers. Okay? My name is Kevin. I'm here to perform my in-cab air brake general inspection test. We start with 6 items. Seatbelt. We want to make sure it's not worn or torn. It unbuckles properly. It's well adjusted. Our brake knobs, yellow parking, red is for emergency. Even though it say trailer, red stands for emergency. We want to make sure that they're both pulled out. Clutch should have no more than 2 inches of play when tapping on it. The steering wheel is not cracked, broken, missing any parts. My gear shifter is in neutral, not cracked, broken, missing any parts. The final thing we check is the air gauge. It must read below 80 psi's. Right now it's at 83 psi's. I'm gonna fan my brakes and get under 80 psi. Okay. I am at 75 psi. This truck is equipped with 2 air tanks. Primary tank, secondary tank. I'll be reading the primary tank. It got the number 1 on it. It said number 1, number 2. Number 1 is primary, 2 secondary. Or some trucks that have a P and a S for primary, secondary, okay? We read the primary tank always. Now we perform a safe start. Clutch in. We're gonna double check that we're in neutral. Start the truck up. Release the clutch slowly. The cutout is when the governor turns off the air compressor. Anything greater or anything above 140 psi's is not a good test. We accelerate between 12 and 1500 RPMs until our needle stops. So all of that talking is just telling you to press your accelerator. Put your RPMs between 12 and 15. And wait for your needle to stop. PSIs. This is a good test because we did not go above 140 PSIs. Get it? Now the cut in. That's when the governor turns on the air compressor. Anything less or anything below 100 PSIs is not a good test. And to perform this test, we drop pressure. We wait 15 seconds to see if we gain pressure. Now we read the needle. My needle has stabilized at 121 PSIs and I'll begin my test. Hit the brake one time. Take your foot off. My needle has stabilized at 100 12 PSIs and my time starts now. Seconds are up. There's no sign of gain pressure. We're still at 112 PSI. We're going to repeat the process. Drop pressure, wait 15 seconds to see if we gain pressure. Hit the brake one more time, drop the pressure. We know that line is 105, right? So I'm at 107 PSIs and time starts now. Seconds are up, no time to gain pressure. We're still at 107 PSI. Repeat the process. I'm at 103 PSIs and time starts now. My needle was moving at 103 PSIs. This is a good test because we didn't go below 100 PSIs. You get it?
Now we cut-in test, right?
Now we bring the air pressure back to the max. Every time we accelerate, it's always between 12 and 1500 RPMs. Stopped at 123 PSIs, airs to the max. I don't know why it does that, bro. We gotta get that governor adjusted. Now I will secure my truck from rolling forward or backwards, and these are the 6 steps we take. 1, clutch in. 2, place the truck, low gear. 3, turn off the truck. 4, put the key back to the on position. 5, release the clutch slowly. The final thing we do, we push in the yellow and red brake knobs. Now we do the apply leaking test. That means we should not lose more than 4 pounds in 60 seconds. To perform this test, we are going to hold our service brake down for 60 seconds. And once the 60 seconds are up, we're going to state if this is a good test or a bad test. So if you read the needle right now, you're going to drop more than 4 pounds. That's an automatic fail. You press the brake first and let the needle drop. I'm at 100 PSI, time starts now. So you're holding it down for 60 seconds. 30 seconds in, you tell the examiner, you're listening for the air leaks. Inside the truck, outside the truck. Continue to 60 seconds. 60 seconds are up, you just don't take your foot off. You read the gauge. 60 seconds are up, our needle was still reading at 100 PSIs. This is a good test because we didn't lose more than 4 pounds in 60 seconds. We didn't lose any pounds in the 60 seconds. Then you take your foot off. You don't take it off until you finish explaining that the test is good and bad and why is it good or bad. Okay? Now we do the low pressure warning device test. The lights and alarm, they should activate between 75 and 55 PSIs. We're going to fan the service brakes until we hear or see the light and alarm come on. Now, the moment you hear that noise, you read the needle. Don't wait for your needle to stop. If you wait for your needle to stop, that's an automatic fail. Because when it stopped, that's not when you heard the noise. You get it? We had 100 PSIs, we'll begin the test. So I know that line in between the 60 and the 90 is 75, right? So I'm just gonna fan it kind of fast until I get close to it. There you go. 72 PSI, the light and alarm came on. This is a good test because it came on in a range of 75 and 55 PSIs. Now look where it's at. If you read it where it's at right now, that ain't when you first heard it, right? So that's a fail. That's why as soon as you hear it, you read it. Don't wait for your needle to stop. Same thing with the spring brake pop-out test. As soon as they pop out, you read the needle, not when your needle stops. The parking and emergency brake knobs should both pop out in a range of 45 and 20 PSIs. We're gonna continue to fan the service brakes until they both pop out. Read the needle where you at now. We at 60,
61, 62.
I'll go with 62 PSIs. We at 60, but it's really 63. But 62, 63 look alike. So it ain't at the tip of that orange and blue. If it is, that'll be 65. So it's a little space up in there. So you said 62, we can stick with 62. I'm at 62 PSIs, I'll begin my test. There you go. 36 PSIs. Both the yellow park and red emergency brake knobs popped out. This is a good test. They popped out in a range of 45 and 20 PSIs. Now we do a safe start. Clutch in, back to neutral, start the truck up, release the clutch slowly. Air recovery is optional, but you still need to know how to do it. You just ask the examiner, do you want me to do it? Some will say yes, some will say no, okay? All we're doing is accelerating between 12 and 1500 RPMs until we get to 85 PSIs. Once we get to 85 PSIs, we're gonna take our foot off the accelerator and start our time. So the air recovery is we should get from 85 PSIs to 100 PSIs in 45 seconds or less. I'm at 85 PSIs, time starts. I reached 100 PSIs in 34 seconds. This is a good test because we got there in 45 seconds or less. Now I bring that air pressure back to the max. Air pressure to the max, 125 PSI. Now my truck is equipped with 4 brakes: yellow parking, red emergency, trailer brake, foot pedal to service brake, P, E, T, S. We're going to test the brakes in that order. I'm going to test the yellow parking brake first. Clutch in, place the truck, low gear. We're testing the yellow brake, so we push in the red brake. Release the clutch slowly. Tug and vibration, push the clutch back in. That just indicated that the yellow parking brake works properly. Now we test the red emergency brake. Pull it back out. Now push in the yellow parking brake. So you see the theme? Activate a brake before you deactivate a brake. Release the clutch slowly. Tug and vibration, my emergency brake works properly. Now we test the trailer brake, so we activate it. Now we deactivate the emergency brake one more time. Release the clutch slowly. tug and vibration, trailer brake works properly. Now we test the service brake. Press the service brake, release the trailer brake. With this test, we're gonna move 4 to 5 feet, between 2 and 5 miles an hour. My hands will be hovered over the steering wheel. When I press down on my service brake, if the steering wheel moves right or left, that means the service brake's out of adjustment. They need to be adjusted. So take your foot all the way off, flat on the floor. Release the clutch slowly. Now we're moving 4 to 5 feet. We're gonna press down on the clutch and brake at the same time. The steering wheel didn't move left or right. That means the service brakes work properly. This concludes the in-cab air brake test. I'm gonna do the general inspection test. First, we secure the truck back. Pull out the parking and emergency. Place it back to neutral. Release service brake, release clutch slowly. The general in-cab inspection, my door opens and closes properly. The window rolls up and down properly. The mirror, gonna touch it. It's clean, I cracked the broken, for scratches are illegal stickers and it's well adjusted. Air horn country, electric horn city. Windshield clean, I cracked the broken, for scratches are illegal stickers. The windshield wipers, not cracked, broken, missing parts, good working condition. The blades, when you talk about the blades, you're gonna push the tip of this in. The blades not ripped or torn, free of debris to prevent scratches on the windshield. Directional signals, right, left. They also used as our four-way emergency flashes. Headlights, turn them on. High beam for the country, low beam for the city. If the truck was equipped with fog lights, it's for foggy conditions only. Want to make sure that my heater is working properly. My defroster is working properly. The clutch, under more than 2 inches of play when tapping on it. The gear shifter is in neutral, not cracked, broken, missing parts, good working condition. The steering wheel should have no more than 2 inches of play. My emergency compartment consists of 3 triangle reflectors, an extra pack of fuses, a fire extinguisher that's fully charged, up to date, the gauge in the green, the cotter pin going through it locked tight and secure, the clamp going around the fire extinguisher is clamped down tight and secure. Gauges. The oil should read between 30 and 60 psi. The coolant temperature should read below 180 degrees. The RPMs are working properly by tapping the accelerator. Speedometer work properly, but we have to be in motion to check. The voltmeter should read between 12 and 14 voltage. Air should be to the max, fuel enough for the trip. At this time, this concludes the in-cab air brake general inspection test. Can you help me check the exterior lights so we can do the exterior pre-trip inspection? Oh, you like that, kid?
Hell yeah.